Hey friends, in today's video, I'm going to talk about a Void Titan PvP build. I know if you played Fortress this week, you're probably rolling your eyes saying, well, I see 12 Bubble Titans a match. This is nothing new. It could be. So, as you probably noticed, the challenge for this week in Iron Banner Fortress is to play a Void or a Stasis subclass, which does contribute to the amount of Bubble Titans you see. But that's not the reason people are running Bubble Titan. They're running it because it's the best. I know it. You know it. I always keep a Void Titan build in my back pocket, whether that's for 3v3 or 6v6. If it's 6v6, I'm just trying to farm the bubble as quick as possible. If it's 3v3, I use the Overshield Barricade because it's very instrumental in winning team fights. I use it with the Antaeus Ward Exotic Boots, sprint a little bit, charge up a Reflect Shield, and I go in. If it looks like a bad situation, I just shoulder charge out, live to fight another day, and look for a better opportunity to get an opener for my team. So that's my typical Void build. When the Void 3.0 rework came out, I experimented with all parts of it because I wanted to be able to relay that information to my subscribers, right? Is Shield Toss any good? I thought it was pretty bad then, but because it's been so long since I used it, I decided to try it with a new lens and put some real hours into it this week. I easily put 10 hours into just throwing shields as fast as possible on cooldown at people. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to clickbait you. I still didn't like it even when I became competent with it. Even when I optimized shield throwing builds, I still didn't like it. And I think that's okay. It's okay for me to make a video about something that I didn't like or something that I don't think is strong. It doesn't always have to be the most broken thing in the game. I hope you agree. Hope you find this video interesting. Anyhow, let me tell you my experience, my findings. So it all started when I wanted to get a bubble as fast as possible. I was thinking two different paths. Either I use Doomfang Pauldron and throw Frisbees, or I use Crest of Alpha Loopy with Rally Barricade, double Dynamo on my helmet, and double distribution on my class item. That would give me as much super energy as possible for the simple act of throwing a barricade near my opponents. I decided to go with the more fun option, which was throw shields. I suck at throwing the shield, so I immediately thought, well, how do I hold my opponent in place? Wait a second, I could use the Cryosthesia sidearm. So I started using the sidearm. Got a kill, reloaded the Cryosthesia, got the freeze bullet, froze somebody, shot him with a blinding launcher somewhere in their general direction, and then threw a shield at him. It worked. The problem was, to get that elaborate setup to work, you have to really outskill your lobby. And that just doesn't happen all the time. In fact, I would say having to finesse your opponent like that leads to less super energy because it's not as consistent of a build as something like Dune Marchers to just get you around the map faster and get big multi-kills, and most importantly, stay alive. Regardless, I decided to humor myself and go for the fastest possible super with Doomfang and Cryosthesia anyway. And I'll tell you what, it worked. It absolutely worked. I had the first super by a country mile. And the issue is, I can have the first bubble on the point. You can bring a horse to water, but that doesn't mean it's gonna drink. Hear me out. I would get the bubble, I'd throw it on the point, 3 juicy orbs of light on the floor that my teammates could pick up to get their own bubbles and then perpetuate it. But you wanna know what happened? Yep, that's right. My team didn't pick up the orbs, they got supers, and then they never popped them when it mattered. So, as a figurative middle finger to lobby balancing, I decided to not care about intellect anymore. I made my Titan big dumb. So the next evolution of the build was the double Frisbee gauntlets. No one even knows the name, they're that bad. And I wanted to use them to try to practice my shield tosses. And I was noticing something. Anytime I threw the shield at somebody, it did a meager 61 damage. That's not enough. I was trying Dead Messenger and getting multi-kills with it, and just realized it's not enough. Someone in the comment section is going to tell me the answer to this. Let me work on it. So, 61 damage. A bow's going to hit him in the face for like 150. So I use the Swashbuckler bow, right? It's a melee build with a weapon that facilitates the cleanup. And then, if I hit the melee kill, Swashbuckler times 5 happens on the bow, and now I can headshot with a precision bow. 2 issues. Number 1. Everybody is running around with an overshield in this mode, so I'm not necessarily going to have the opportunity to one-shot, even when Swashbuckler's active. And number 2, I don't know if you've ever had the displeasure of using a bow on a Titan, but long story short, don't. Oh, that was a good wombo combo in the background. The reason you don't, though, is because if you try to use your ability jump on Titan while drawing the string, it unnotches the arrow, or whatever the word is. It makes you have to do the entire draw animation again. Hunter doesn't have to deal with this. Top Tree Dawnblade doesn't have to deal with this, but Titan does. So, it was fun popping off and getting multi-kills, shooting Dead Messenger down a hallway, throwing a Frisbee, throwing my entire kitchen sink at them, and getting some multi-kills, seeing Swashbuckler pop up. By the way, the shield toss has a very slight delay on kill. So what that means is you can shoot Dead Messenger, throw the Frisbee, switch to the bow, and then have Swashbuckler proc on the bow. It times out perfectly. So yes, some multi-kill clips happened, and it was very fun. I genuinely had fun doing that, but I wanted to optimize this even further. 61 damage wasn't enough, so I needed to pump those numbers up, and that is what brought me back to Heart of Inmost Light. This time though, not to cheese dynamo distribution, but to literally just buff the damage of my throwing shield so that it combos with Dead Messenger. The cooldowns were also very nice because I pretty much always threw the shield on cooldown in these matches. So Heart of Inmost Light ended up kind of being the best pick. But there's a better answer. The better answer is to use the Overshield Barricade with the other aspect called Offensive Bulwark, which increases your melee damage whenever you have an overshield. The big trade-off though is you don't get the Controlled Demolition aspect, which makes your opponents volatile when you hit them with a void ability. If my goal was going on big multi-kills, then Controlled Demolition is kind of a must. It's really strong because after shooting your opponent while they're volatile, you get some health back. And that can lead to more kills and staying alive easier. So here's what the final form of the shield throwing build looks like. We'll start at the helmet. Submachine gun targeting, harmonic siphon, so that means void, double kills, make an orb of light, radiant light, so I get 2 extra tiers of strength. Melee kickstart, so when I throw my Frisbee, I get a little bit of energy back. Double submachine gun unflinching. Powerful friends for 2 tiers of mobility. Innervation recuperation for grenade and health when I pick up an orb. Taking charge, so that I can use high energy fire to do extra damage. And then finally quick charge, so that I can get extra handling on my submachine gun, so that when I shoot Dead Messenger on the floor and throw a Frisbee, I can switch to escape velocity. Now you might have noticed, this has the Grave Robber perk. So, empty the whole magazine on a group, throw the Frisbee, it reloads the gun. It comes up every now and then, but I'm not going to rely on it. Typically what happens is someone like whiffs a shoulder charge or barely misses me with the shotgun, and I just get a free reload. It does help with multi-kills. What really helps with multi-kills is surrounded. So if I fly into a group, it's just going to have a damage bonus. So this was the highest range roll of escape velocity that I have, and it just happened to work out really well with this build. And you can get this from a certain week on Dares of Eternity activity. I don't remember exactly what it is, but if you pay attention to the zoom, it is a 16 zoom submachine gun, and it has lightweight so I can sprint around the map faster, like Dune Marchers-ish. Dead Messenger, you can actually change the element to arc to have even more handling, but I didn't really find it necessary. I like staying void so that I can maybe make an orb of light. It happens sometimes. And finally, a sword to deal with bubbles. You can use an other half where you use the right trigger attack. I believe you can have surrounded on here too. Or you can go a wave frame. By the way, the Iron Banner, a reward vendor, does sell a wave frame. So you can just gamble that until you get a perk that helps kill bubbles. Now the aspects and fragments. Offensive Bulwark, so I get extra damage whenever I have an overshield. Remember, this works off of other players' overshields. AKA, I can pretty much guarantee there's at least 6 Titans in every lobby, so I don't have to run Bastion to take advantage of this perk. The second perk is Controlled Demolition. As I just said before I popped up this build, I told you it's instrumental to getting multi-kills. As for the grenade, I tried every single grenade, and my favorite of all of them was Vortex. I shoot Dead Messenger on the floor and then just throw a Vortex where I think they're going to escape to. Pull out the SMG, throw the shield, etc. It really does help with multi-kills and zoning, of course. If you notice, I put on Echo of Remnants here so it lasts even longer. So when I'm fighting inside of a bubble against other Titans, Vortex Grenade just chews them up. Shield Toss, of course. Catapult Lift because I jump off of ledges and want to be able to jetpack back up and clamber. Towering Barricade or Rally. It really doesn't matter here if you're not running Bastion. But at some point in the week, I was running Bastion. And I will show that footage after I get done with this. So here are the fragments. Echo of Instability. I can get Volatile rounds whenever my nade kills him, and that does work with Dead Messenger. It's really strong. Echo of Expulsion. Volatile rounds can create an extra explosion. Or if my shield toss kills him. Explosion. Echo of Leeching. A melee kill gives me health regeneration, even a normal melee kill. And it's for my allies too. And then of course I talked about Remnants. Well, now let's talk about the super. Sentinel Shield is hot garbage in this mode. I know what you're thinking. Well, isn't that like the best super in the game otherwise? Kind of. Missile Titan being buffed has made this less good. Stasis being better has made this less good. And in Iron Banner specifically, you're playing against the perfect shutdown supers to Sentinel Shield. Bubble Titan shits on Sentinel Shield. I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, you just block and walk in there. The other Titans are not dumb. You know what they're going to do if you're starting to get really good with it and can somehow keep up with their super economy? Spoiler alert, you can't. They switch to Suppressor Nade, they switch to Peregrine Greaves, and make you look like an idiot. So, you're pretty much forced to go bubble if you care about winning whatsoever. It's unfortunate that the game is balanced that way, but here we are. I'm telling the reality here. In case you want to take this for a spin, I don't want to disappoint you. I want you to know exactly what this is capable of. And it is capable of fun. I will be honest with that one. I think that covers everything here on my journey to optimizing a really terrible build that I'm probably going to deconstruct later today and move on to something else. And I'll tell you the ones that I liked, and I might start telling you sometimes about the ones I dislike, like this video. Thanks for hearing me out. Hope you learned something new today, and I will see you in the next one. I'm using the bad super because it's funny. Obviously, bubble would be a lot better. Some of you might say this is a PvE loadout, but to me it's the only way that the throwing shield is decent. It's mostly because of the amount of damage it does. It does 61 when you don't have a damage boost. Dead Messenger does 130. So if I hit him, it's not going to necessarily kill. So I need to basically use Heart of Inmost Light to boost some damage. And then I can shoot Dead Messenger at the floor, throw a shield, and it usually cleans up. You also have to account for healing rifts, overshields, damage resist, that type of thing. It just makes the throwing shield a lot more consistent. Go invade my ramen shop.
Zone B lost.
They're gonna have the confidence to go now.
Claim Zone B.
I didn't realize he was in service. 49 seconds. Go get some super energy. I'm gonna get Dune Marchered in a sec. Did we really maintain a triple cap for that long? This is ridiculous. Oh! What is that? Luigi's Mansion 3. Oh, y'all thought I was done with the video. My dumb self realized that I didn't mention why I dislike Shield Toss. It's because Shoulder Charge is goated and it's all about relative balance. Shoulder Charge is the jankiest animation to have to shoot at. It gets you to places faster. It gets you out of dangerous situations. You can slide and still shoulder charge after dealing damage. It's not even comparable. It's fun to throw the shield. It does get clutch moments by ricocheting off walls and whatnot, but compared to other classes in this game, when you look at their entire kit, it's just not worth the trade-off of shoulder charge. I'll let you watch the rest of this gameplay now. Luigi's Mansion 3. It just appeared! Instant transmission! Grab the vacuum! Disappointed that that throwing shield didn't hit him. Or at least combo him.
Fuel for fire.
Why did I have to combo him?